This is the INH Squawkbox Weekly Preview. Before we get started with this week's INH Squawkbox Weekly Preview, we've got a uniform reveal for you Nighthawk fans. Mr. Nighthawk, come on out.
Let's go. Let's go, baby.
Eggshell with red stripes down at the bottom with yellow stripes that go from the middle of the pants all the way up to the side. I'm going to just say this now. We are looking good this year. Week 1 in the books as your Iowa Nighthawks come off a victory up in Sioux Center over the Northwest Iowa Lightning by a final score of 43-6. Their next opponent this weekend will be the Tri-State Tridents. Quarterback Dylan Van Leuven had the start of dreams to open up the season for the Nighthawks as the very first play was a 65-yard deep shot to Matthew Yeager for the game's first score. The defense for the Nighthawks had a solid day with a little help of some unfortunate drops as Northwest Iowa just couldn't find their offense most of the day. Quarterback Greg Gainey was able to connect with wide receiver Nick White for the Lightning's lone touchdown. Unfortunately, luck was not on the side of Northwest Iowa as their two-point conversion failed. Special teams had a phenomenal day as Tommy Lagarde blocked a punt for a touchdown. Carter Heasley went perfect for PATs for your Nighthawks, and Tate Glassby scored a two-point conversion on the opening touchdown. Tate also recorded a touchdown later on in the game. To close out the game, your Nighthawks defense had back-to-back pick sixes. First came from Jeremiah Benson, and the second one came from Justin Maggard. Mark Mackerman gives his side of things on how the game went in his eyes.
So I think the game went pretty well. We have some stuff we have to clean up. We have to clean up our snaps. There's some blocking issues that we have to fix. There's a few plays where our quarterback held onto the ball a little bit longer than we would have liked, but that's just a young offense. We need to gel. We need to come together. And as the season progresses, we will. Our first two drives were very efficient. We scored, twice in 3 plays. We're looking to take that momentum into next week. So the second half started off with a bang. Our second half adjustments proved to be successful on the defensive side. The first half, the Lightning had some long sustaining drives, but after we made our adjustments, we were able to kind of shut them down and control the pace of the game again, leading to our 43-6 victory. Tommy Lagarde had a blocked punt. He had the whole trifecta. He blocked it, recovered it, and returned it for a touchdown. And that completely changed the outlook on the game. And then later in the game, we drove down the field. Tate Glassby caught a short touchdown to kind of seal the game. As the Lightning were trying to mount their comeback, we had 2 back-to-back pick sixes by Jeremiah Benson and Justin Maggard. Carter Heasley, our kicker, went 5 of 5 on his PATs. He actually, shout out to Carter, we decided to throw him in at the end, last play of the game, and he actually applied the pressure on the quarterback, which resulted in a pick 6. One thing we're really going to focus on is we need to get rid of the ball faster, and we need to work on our quarterback center exchange because we had a lot of defensively. We just need to get back on track, play some more disciplined football. We need to get the chemistry that we've had in previous seasons. We have almost an entirely new look on our defense as we have from previous seasons. We have a lot of talent. We just have to play as one full unit.
I also had a chance to talk with wide receiver Tate Glassby, talk about how he thought the game went in his eyes as a player. Talk about that botched extra point. I know that you kind of had to scramble a little bit, but you ended up getting the 2-point conversion. What went through your mind on that?
So it was kind of a shocker. Mark, our head coach, has actually made sure that special teams has been an efficient part of our game plan this year. So we've taken a lot of reps. That first ball, I saw it on the ground. I immediately went to pick it up, and in my head, I was like, okay, well, we've put in the call. I know exactly what we need to do. I rolled out. They took 2 guys with our short route. I saw the middle of the field open up, and I just took it right up the gut. I thought, 2 points is better. 2 points is better than 1 point, so why not try to get the 2 points? So I tucked the ball and I just went for it.
And then talk about your first touchdown of the season, my man.
I got to give a shout out to one of our DBs, Peyton. He's our free safety, and he actually put us in a really good position in the red zone. He caught, I think it was like a 40-yard pass from Dylan, set us up really, really nicely. And he put it in a great position. I was running an out route. He put it back inside because the DB overshaded to the sideline. And then at that point it's a track race. And I saw the field open. Our other slot receiver, Berto, he blocked the linebacker, made the lane a little bit more open for me.
Looking ahead to this week's opponent for the Iowa Nighthawks, the Tri-State Tridents are coming off a hard-fought defensive game versus the Midwest Raptors, ultimately coming out on the wrong end of it by a final score of 14-8. Quarterback TJ Kettleson did connect with wide receiver DeAndre Dean Hard for the team's only score. but did convert the 2-point conversion thanks to Kettleson's 7-yard run to the end zone. The Raptors were able to get 250 yards rushing against the Tridents. However, Tri-State was able to keep them out of the end zone most of the game. Joining us now on the INH Squawkbox preview is quarterback and owner TJ Kettleson. And TJ, thanks for taking the time to join me today.
I appreciate having me, boss. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. I got a couple questions for you. First off, for the fans to get to know some of the new teams with the Nighthawks officially joining the SPFL, tell us a little about the history of the Tri-State Tridents.
This will be our 5th year as an organization. We originally started out in the UCFL with the Nighthawks and a couple other teams. Played 11-man our first 2 years, later joining the HFA, and then our 3rd year we went to 8-man and went to the CPFL championship, and then last 2 years we've been part of the SPFL.
All right, TJ, looking back at last week, tell us about your team's performance, even though you came up on the wrong end, but it was still a hard-fought battle with the Midwest Raptors. Go into a little bit of detail as an owner and as a player for that game last week.
Rivalry game week 1, always a tough environment. Thought we did a lot of things well, ran the ball really well. Offensive line played great on the interior, especially. Defense holding the team like that to 2 scores is always impressive. Plays as a player you'd like to have back as a quarterback plays penalties. Penalties, name of the game, killed us. But overall, really proud of how the guys fought and how they competed.
Let's go into a little bit more of how your performance went. This is going based off of what the SPFL said. So do not quote me on these because sometimes they might be a little bit off. You went 14 for 26 in passing with a touchdown and a 7-yard run for a 2-point conversion. Pretty good performance, judging based off of just the numbers. Like I said, the game may say completely different, but the numbers say say you had a pretty decent game for what it shows. Going on the road for the first time this season, tell us about the mentality you guys have to have, especially traveling from Walt Hill, Nebraska, that's where you guys play your home games.
Going back to your first point, I'd say the stats could definitely be kind of misleading as far as how I felt about my own performance. I definitely left a lot of plays out there that I got to make, not just as an owner or as a player, but as, one of the veterans on this team now. But as far as the travel goes, that's one of the hardest things in semi-pro. When you're making a drive like that, I think it's about 5 hours from where I live to Newton. That's always, like the great equalizer in semi-pro is the good teams travel well and the bad teams don't. So, I think that's always going to be a big factor when you're going into playing a team like Newton on the road is how well can you travel and how many of your good guys can you get to go there,
First time between these two teams on the SPFL 9-man level. Just what player on the Tri-State Tridents roster should players keep an eye out for to make maybe some big plays throughout the game?
I'd like to point out, probably a guy like linebacker Cameron Davis, just came over from the Stockman, had a really big time week 1, and he had 10 tackles by himself. Almost had a 1-handed interception on his first play of the game. So he's definitely a name to watch out for on the defensive side. Offensively, man, we got a lot of great weapons over here. Guys like DeAndre Dean Hurd, Vic Sweeney, Tyler Levy, Rachuy, Cole Pritchett, Micah Nettleton. I could go on and on with the weapons, but I'd say overall the offensive line as a unit for us has always been a strength these last couple of years, and I think they're the group to watch overall for us is how well can our offensive line compete against the Nighthawks D-line that's traditionally been one of their better units as well.
That's all the questions I have for you today. TJ, thanks for taking the time to join me here on the INH Squawkbox preview. We'll see you on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys having me.
That's the quarterback and owner TJ Kettleson of the Tri-State Tridents here on the INH Squawkbox weekly preview. Your Nighthawks go under the lights for the first of 4 games at Newton this weekend. Can't make it to the game? We got you covered. Subscribe to the Iowa Nighthawks YouTube page where coverage will start at 5:45 with kickoff at approximately at 6 p.m. This is Trevor Rachuy, your voice of the Nighthawks, and this has been your Week 2 INH Squawkbox weekly preview.